In October 1973, a machinist in Akron, Ohio, named Ed Kowalski, filled his gas tank for the last time without thinking about it. He paid 39 cents a gallon. That night, Arab oil-producing nations cut off exports to the United States. Within 4 weeks, the price at the pump had jumped 40%. By spring, it had tripled. Ed earned $11,400 a year at the rubber plant. Dorothy brought home $3,200 from the school cafeteria. By November 1973, the math had stopped working. They did not borrow their way through the next 6 years. They did not refinance the house. When the 1979 oil shock arrived, they had $3,847 in savings. Their youngest daughter started college that fall with no debt. Number 26 on this list saved the family $312 in a single year. Number 14 was so effective, the federal government tried to make it a national law. And number 8 is why Ed Kowalski, a machinist who never earned more than $14,000 in any year, died in 1998, owning his house outright with $22,000 in the bank. Hit that subscribe button. Let us count down the 30 forgotten ways 1970s families survived the oil crisis without going into debt. The first thing Ed did was nothing dramatic. He stood at the kitchen table in November 1973 with the utility bill and the grocery receipt and got a piece of paper. He wrote down every dollar coming in and every dollar going out. Not a budget, a list. The list showed him where the money was going. Number 30, the November list. Dorothy kept it on the refrigerator with a magnet. Every purchase went on the list the day it happened. At the end of every month, Ed added the right column and Dorothy added the left. In November 1973, the difference was $23 in the wrong direction. By February 1974, it was $47 in the right direction. They had not earned more money. They had started watching. The list was not a budget. The list was a mirror they had finally agreed to look at. Number 29, the Thursday grocery run. Dorothy switched from Saturday to Thursday shopping after noticing that marked-down produce appeared Thursday mornings and was gone by the weekend. Over a year, shopping one day earlier saved the family $187 in reduced-price vegetables, day-old bread, and marked-down meat. No one told her to do this. She had simply started paying attention to how the store worked. The store had always worked this way. She had never needed to notice before. Number 28, the thermostat at 65. In January 1974, Ed set the thermostat at 65 degrees. It did not move until April. Dorothy found 4 sweaters in the hall closet. The children wore them at dinner. Nobody enjoyed it. Nobody complained. The heating bill dropped from $94 in January 1973 to $61 in January 1974. President Carter gave his famous cardigan sweater speech urging 65 degrees 3 years later, in 1977. Ed had already been doing it. The sweater was not a fashion statement. The sweater was $33 a month. Number 27, the odd-even car. Ed's license plate ended in 4. Under Ohio's odd-even gas rationing, he could only buy fuel on even-numbered days. He responded by combining every errand into 2 weekly runs: grocery, hardware, school pickup, post office, all on the same day. Monthly gasoline consumption dropped from 48 gallons to 31 gallons. Some states capped purchases at $1 per visit, roughly 4 gallons. Ed learned to plan around limits he could not change. The car had always been a tool. He had been treating it like a convenience. Number 26, the attic insulation Saturday. In February 1974, Ed spent one Saturday afternoon laying fiberglass batting insulation in the attic. Materials, $31.40. The following winter, heating bills came in $26 lower per month for 4 consecutive months. Over 12 years, that $31.40 investment saved the family more than $1,400. Dorothy called it the best Saturday he ever spent. He spent most of it sneezing. The insulation was $31. The drafts it stopped were costing $26 every month forever. Number 25. The Meatless Tuesday. Dorothy introduced one meatless dinner per week in March 1974 without announcing it as policy. Bean soup with cornbread, egg noodles with vegetables, split pea soup with a 29-cent ham hock for flavor. The children asked where the meat was. She said it was taking the week off. Beef cost $1.46 a pound in 1974. Dried beans cost 27 cents and fed the family twice over. One Meatless Tuesday per week saved $312 across a year. The soup was the strategy. 27 cents and nobody went hungry. Number 24. The library card. Ed Jr. had been buying paperback novels at 75 cents each from the drugstore rack. His father took him to the Akron Public Library and showed him the same books were free. Over 2 years, Ed Jr. checked out 94 books, $70.50 the family did not spend. The library card cost nothing to get. The drugstore rack cost something every visit. The card was free. The habit behind the rack was not. Number 23. The garden in the backyard. Dorothy started tomato seedlings in egg cartons on the kitchen windowsill in April 1974. A 35-cent seed packet. By June, she had a 12 by 8-foot plot in the backyard Ed dug one Sunday. By August, the family was eating tomatoes that cost 35 cents. They added zucchini, green beans, and lettuce. Over summer, the garden replaced $43 in purchased vegetables. The garden was not a hobby. It was $43 that did not have to come from the paycheck. Here is something that did not make the evening news. While the gas lines and wind buttons and presidential speeches dominated the headlines, the Bureau of Labor Statistics was measuring what American families were actually doing. Their consumer expenditure survey data from 1973 to 1975 showed that working-class families earning between $10,000 and $18,000 per year had reduced discretionary spending by an average of 11.3% in 2 years. Without reducing food expenditure and without measurably increasing household debt, they were not waiting for the government to fix it. They were fixing it themselves. Number 22. The carpool. Ed organized a 4-man carpool with men who lived half a mile away and worked the same shift. Each man drove 1 week in 4. Monthly commuting fuel costs dropped from $18.40 to $4.60. The 4 men had worked the same shift for 6 years without once discussing sharing a ride. The oil crisis forced a conversation common sense should have started years earlier. The carpool cost nothing. It required only 4 men agreeing to share a problem they all had. Number 21. The single bulb rule. Dorothy introduced a rule. No room had more lights on than the number of people using it. Leave a room, turn off the light, 1 lamp when reading alone. Nobody had questioned the habit of leaving lights burning in empty rooms. Now someone had. The monthly electric bill dropped from $31 to $24, $7 a month, $84 a year. From turning off lights no one was using. The light switch had always worked this way. Nobody had been paying attention to it. Number 20. The thermos that replaced the diner. Ed had been stopping at a diner 3 mornings a week, 45 cents for coffee, 35 cents for a roll, 80 cents 3 times a week, 50 weeks, $120 a year. In September 1974, he started bringing a thermos. Dorothy bought it for $1.89. It paid for itself in 3 visits. Ed still went on Fridays when the men gathered. That was worth paying for. The 3 Tuesday and Wednesday mornings were not. The thermos was not a sacrifice. It was the decision about which 80 cents mattered. Number 19. The repair before the replace. Ed's electric lawnmower stopped working in June 1974. A new one cost $47. His neighbor Frank, a retired maintenance mechanic, identified a broken capacitor costing $1.89. Ed repaired it himself. The mower ran another 11 years. Before the crisis, Ed would have replaced it without hesitating. Gasoline prices had made him look at every dollar differently. The mower was the first thing he repaired instead of replaced. It was not the last. $1.89 versus $47. The difference was asking. Number 18. The bulk agreement. Dorothy and her neighbor, Kathleen Murphy, began buying staples in bulk and splitting them. A 25-pound sack of flour cost $3.89 at the warehouse grocery. 2 5-pound bags at the regular store cost $3.40 between them. The bulk sack split equally saved each family 46 cents per purchase. Applied to sugar, dried beans, oatmeal, and canned tomatoes, the arrangement saved each family $67 a year. Kathleen had the storage. Dorothy had the car. Neither had enough alone. The arrangement required one conversation. Nothing was ever signed. Number 17. The envelope marked "Do Not Touch." In the kitchen drawer, in Dorothy's handwriting, every good month, some cash went in. Every hard month, it stayed. By December 1974, it held $214. In 1975, the rubber plant cut hours for 8 weeks. The envelope held $214. They did not borrow. They did not miss a mortgage payment. Ed's father had kept the same envelope in 1931. You set money aside before you knew you needed it. The envelope was not a savings account. It was the reason they never had to ask anyone for help. Here is the number that matters. Between 1973 and 1979, the Consumer Price Index rose 53%. Average weekly earnings, adjusted for inflation, fell 8.3%. Consumer debt rose 42% over the same period. Most families borrowed to maintain their standard of living. But families raised to treat debt as a last resort did not. Studies found that families with Depression-era parents maintained lower debt-to-income ratios throughout the stagflation decade. The lessons taught at kitchen tables in the 1930s were being applied at kitchen tables in the 1970s. The oil crisis did not teach these families how to be careful. It reminded them of what they already knew. Number 16. The 55-mile-per-hour habit. Congress imposed a national 55 miles per hour speed limit in January 1974 to reduce fuel consumption. Ed obeyed it not because of the law, but because driving at 55 instead of 70 improved fuel economy by approximately 17%. At his monthly consumption, that was 5.3 gallons saved per month, $2.07 at 39 cents a gallon. Small. But it cost nothing, and it was permanent. The speed limit was eventually raised. Ed kept the habit anyway. The speedometer was the fuel gauge. He had simply never read it that way before. Number 15. The Monday Thermos tradition. Every Monday, Dorothy filled a thermos with homemade soup and brought it to the cafeteria where she worked. The cafeteria lunch cost 65 cents. Over a full year of working days, the thermos saved $143. She started bringing an extra container for her colleague Ruth, who was going through a divorce. Ruth began doing the same for Dorothy on weeks she could not cook. The soup fed 2 women for 6 years. It never cost more than the ingredients. Number 14. The draft ceiling weekend. In November 1974, Ed spent a Saturday with weather-stripping foam, caulk, and a $4.20 kit from the hardware store. He sealed every door frame, windowsill, and pipe gap in the house. The federal government's Project Independence program had identified home weatherization as the single most cost-effective household conservation measure available. Ed had read the pamphlet. He spent $4.20 and a Saturday. The following winter, his heating bill dropped $19 per month. The government recommended it. Ed did it. Most of his neighbors did not. Number 13. The $3 Christmas. Christmas 1974. No more than $3 per person per gift. Ed Jr. drew family portraits in pencil. Dorothy made jam from the last of the summer's tomatoes. Karen wrote a booklet of household chore coupons. Ed made a wooden key holder from scrap lumber. Nobody remembered what they had received the Christmas before. Everyone remembered that one. The $3 rule was not poverty. It was the rule that revealed what gifts were actually for. Number 12. The rag that replaced the paper towel. Dorothy replaced paper towels with cloth rags cut from worn-out shirts in January 1975. A roll of paper towels cost 49 cents and lasted 10 days. The rags washed with the regular laundry and cost nothing after the initial cutting. The change saved $17.86 a year, modest, but permanent and effortless. Dorothy's mother had never owned a paper towel in her life. The habit had taken one generation to acquire and one decision to reverse. The rag cost nothing. The paper towel cost 49 cents every 10 days forever. Number 11. The rain barrel. Ed installed a 55-gallon drum beside the garage downspout in spring 1975. Cost $4 from the farm supply store. From April through October, Dorothy used it to water the expanded garden. Over the growing season, it saved approximately 3,200 gallons of municipal water and reduced the summer water bill by $11 per month. The barrel lasted 40 years. $4, 40 years. The math required no further commentary. Number 10. The 17-cent loaf. Dorothy baked bread weekly starting March 1975. A store loaf cost 54 cents. Her homemade loaf cost 17 cents in flour, yeast, and salt, and the oven was already on for Sunday dinner. 2 loaves per week, $38.48 saved per year. The children preferred it to the store bread within a month. The recipe had come from Dorothy's mother, from her mother before that, known by no other name than bread. The oven was already on. The loaves cost 17 cents. The store wanted 54. Number 9. The vacation that stayed home. The Kowalski family had taken a driving vacation every summer since 1966. In summer 1975, with gas prices still elevated, they did not go. Dorothy organized a week of day trips, the state park, relatives in Cleveland, the county fair, a baseball game in the bleachers. Total cost, $22.40. The previous year's driving vacation had cost $280. The children remembered the baseball game more clearly than any motel room they had ever slept in. The week stayed close to home. The memory did not. Number 8. The paycheck rule that never broke. Every Friday, Ed set aside $25 before bringing the rest home, not whatever was left over. $25 off the top first, into the savings account earning 5.25% interest. By 1979, it held $3,847. His father had taught him this as a statement about the order of things. You paid yourself first. The bills came from what was left. Ed never reversed the order, not once in 6 years. $25 a week, first every week. That is the $3,847. Number 7. The neighbor who knew everything. Frank Pellegrino, 3 houses down, had been a maintenance mechanic for 31 years. He could fix a furnace, washing machine, water heater, car starter, and lawnmower. He charged nothing. He asked only that you pass what you learned to someone else who needed it. Ed Kowalski fixed his mower, faucet, door hinge, and car alternator with Frank's guidance. He estimated Frank's knowledge saved him $680 in repair bills between 1974 and 1978. The neighborhood was the infrastructure. The knowledge inside it was free. Number 6. The 9-year car. Ed had replaced his car every 4 to 5 years since 1961. In 1973, he had been planning to trade up. He did not. He kept the 1969 Chevrolet Impala, changed the oil himself every 3 months, and drove it to 147,000 miles before selling it in 1978 for $800. By not taking on a car payment of $74 per month for 5 years, he avoided $4,440 in payments and all the interest above that. The car did not need to be new. It needed to run. Number 5. The basement freezer. Ed and Dorothy bought a used chest freezer from a moving family in autumn 1975 for $35. Dorothy bought meat in bulk on sale and froze it in portions. Chuck roast at $1.29 a pound on sale versus $1.74 the following week at regular price. Buying at the sale price and freezing saved the family approximately $94 a year in meat costs alone. They also froze summer garden vegetables, extending the garden's savings through winter. The freezer cost $35 used. It paid for itself in 5 months. Number 4. The credit card in the drawer. The Kowalski family had a single Bank AmeriCard with a $500 limit. Between 1973 and 1979, they used it twice, once for a medical expense, once for an emergency car repair. Both times paid in full the following month. Never a balance. Never interest paid. Consumer debt in America rose 42% between 1973 and 1979. Their neighbors across the street owed $1,840 at 18% annual interest by 1978. The card in the drawer was not willpower. It was a decision made once and never revisited. Number 3. The Sunday dinner that fed 3 nights. Dorothy cooked one large meal on Sunday, a pot roast, a whole chicken, or a pork shoulder, that fed the family Sunday night, made sandwiches on Monday, and became soup or stew on Tuesday. 3 dinners from one piece of meat. Her mother had done this during the Depression. The technique had no official name. It was simply what you did when food cost money you were paying attention to. The Sunday roast was not one dinner. It was the plan for Monday and Tuesday too. Number 2. The Christmas 1979 list. In December 1979, Ed sat at the kitchen table with a new piece of paper. The same list he had made in November 1973. Everything cost more. His wage had risen to $14,200. Inflation had eaten most of the gain, but the columns still balanced in their favor. $3,847 in savings, no credit card balance, no car payment, 9 years closer to a paid-off house. They had not outrun the crisis. They had outlasted it. Number 1. The decision to act before being told to. Ed Kowalski did not wait for win buttons or Carter's cardigan or emergency pamphlets. He looked at the kitchen table list in November 1973 and started adjusting before anyone told him he had to. His father had done the same in 1931. When the world changed faster than the paycheck, you adjusted what you could control and did not borrow against what you could not. The crisis lasted 6 years. Ed and Dorothy outlasted it with a piece of paper, a garden, a thermos, a freezer, $31.40 of insulation, and $25 every Friday before anything else was touched. None of what Ed and Dorothy did required special knowledge. It required the willingness to look at the list, act before being told to, and hold the line week after week when everything around them cost more. They survived the oil crisis the way every generation before them had survived every crisis, not by finding a solution, by applying 30 small decisions consistently until the crisis ended. Your family had a version of this. Tell me in the comments which one of these 30 habits you remember from your own kitchen table.